Howdy, ladies and gentlemen. This is Paul, the Redneck Thinker. Thomas Jefferson said, "If you want something you've never had, you must be willing to do something you've never done." Benjamin Franklin said, "Without continual growth and progress, such words as improvement, achievement, and success have no meaning." Basically, get off your duff, get to working, you've got dreams, you've got goals, you've got to do what it takes to get them. Like, subscribe, comment, show what your opinion is. Let me know if you like what you've seen. And I thank you for your support. So here's a question. How valuable is it to keep somebody who has been proven innocent behind bars? In Missouri, there is a woman by the name of Sandra Hemme. She's been in prison for 43 years. She missed her daughter growing up and her granddaughter growing up. The Innocence Project took on her case, got it proven that she was innocent. Matter of fact, there was actually somebody that they proved actually did the crime that she was convicted of, which was murder. But the Attorney General in the state kept fighting and even talked the warden at the jail into keeping Hemme there against the judge's orders. How valuable is this for law and order? Seriously. So we're going to look into this. Okay. Hemme was convicted of murdering Patricia Jeschke. I guess she was age 31, did not come to her secretarial job at the St. Joseph, Missouri Library. The library director, Dorothy Elliott, went to Jeschke's one-story duplex home after unsuccessfully trying to call her. She was unable to enter the house due to it being locked and called Jeschke's mother, Helen McLaughlin. They broke a window to enter the house and discovered Jeschke's dead body with laceration in the back of her head and a cord around her neck at 1 p.m. This was November 13, 1980. James Robert Hayes, police chief, stated there were no signs of forced entry. The woman had been last seen alive at 5 p.m. on November 12th. She was naked and sexually molested. She was killed via strangulation and suffered multiple head wounds. She'd been dead for 12 to 16 hours before she was discovered. Lloyd Paisley was placed in charge of the investigation. $1,000 reward was offered by her parents. Journalists incorrectly published a bulletin stating a 24-year-old man was charged with the murder after hearing half a conversation between the captain and lieutenant. They investigated 200 leads, theorized that the murder was connected to the murder of Robert Atkinson and Rose Burkett, but police in Iowa found no connection. So, we're already seeing they're linking stuff that shouldn't have been there. So, Hemme and a Joseph Patrick Wobski were arrested December 5th. Wobski was charged with murder and Hemme was charged with Class D felony of concealing knowledge of the crime. She was also charged with Class D felony assault for attempting to use a knife against police in an unrelated case November 25th. Hemme was a former patient at St. Joseph State Hospital, stated she was just bumming around as her parents lived in Concordia, Missouri. Hemme attempted suicide at age 13 and was hospitalized in mental institutions for 6 of the next 8 years in Kansas City, St. Louis, Jefferson City, Columbia, and in Maryland. She attempted suicide 3 to 4 more times. And Wobski was identified as a killer by Hemme. Wobski stated he did not know Hemme. Okay, so basically, here's a woman who is, unfortunately, having mental issues. She's unstable. I am not saying that she was a risk. I'm just saying she was unstable. That happens when you're mentally ill. Hemme's initial story to detectives did not mention murder and instead about her hitchhiking with two people named Joe and Pat. However, the next day she stated the man's full name was Joe Wapski. They went to the house with Pat and he came out with blood on his hands stating, I'm not going to say what he said because this is going on YouTube. After talking about human and animal sacrifices, what the heck? Threatened to kill Hemme if she told anyone. Hemme was able to lead the police to the house, but her lawyer stated that the police drove her there. She later stated that she had witnessed the murder and attempted to stop Wapski in the killing. Police showed Hemme pictures of the crime scene. Wapski had been in prison multiple times since 1958, including the assault on two officers in September 1977. So, of course, the police are going to think that this violent individual could do it and was living in a halfway house. However, the murder charge against him was dropped after 3 witnesses and business records in Topeka, Kansas confirmed his alibi. He considered suing the police for damages due to false allegations of murder. Hemme was charged with the murder on December 10th and denied bail. Her assault charge was later dropped. Okay, so there were 2 trials with all of this. Now, let's look into the Innocence Project. Okay, so she was finally free July 19th. I'm recording this on the 20th. So this was Friday, yesterday, as of the time of me recording this. No witnesses linked Hemme to the murder of the victim or the crime scene other than what was going on inside the mind of somebody who was proven to have mental illness. She had no motive to harm the victim, nor was there any evidence the two had ever met. Neither did any physical or forensic evidence link Hemme to the killing. The only evidence that ever connected Hemme to the crime was her own unreliable and false confession, statements taken from her while she was being treated at the state psychiatric hospital and forcibly given medication literally designed to overpower her will. This is what was found. At the same time, now listen to this, the St. Joseph Police Department hid evidence implicating one of their own. A fellow police officer was found using the victim's credit card the day after the murder. His truck was seen parked near the victim's home at the time she was killed, and he was caught hiding the victim's earrings in his home. This is a police officer that did all of this. And the evidence implicating the officer was so significant it would be difficult to imagine, this from the court now, difficult to imagine that the state could prove Hemme's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt based on the weight of the evidence now available that ties Holman to this victim, that's the name of the man, and the crime, and excludes Miss Hemme. This is what was found by the Innocence Project. A police officer was the one that all the evidence pointed to, but they took a woman who was known to have mental illnesses, had her in a psychiatric hospital, and was giving her medication that tainted any valid confession. She implicated this Wapski fella, and I'm pretty certain, considering this guy's record, that they just found his name. There's a lot that needed to be questioned here. Okay, so Michael Holman, the police officer, is the one that all this evidence points towards. During the prosecution, Sullivan, who was the prosecutor, was informed by two journalists from the St. Joseph Gazette and St. Joseph News Press of a possible police cover-up with police hiding evidence from the defense. He was informed of a possible suspect affiliated with the St. Joseph Police Department. A reporter told him that the man was seen in the vicinity of the victim's home and later used victims' credit cards and all that other evidence. And the officer had purchased a camera in Kansas City in the day after she was discovered. There were samples taken from the body, hair samples, and stated, "We do not expect to file charges against anyone else in the case." Okay, so this is Sullivan was defense attorney, sorry. Police denied the allegations, stated no FBI report existed, and that the man took the credit card from the purse after finding it near a cabin he rented. However, FBI report did exist, and Sullivan sought a copy of it, but the allegations and actual report varied substantially. The police officer, Holman, was brought up during Hemme's 1985 trial. Holman had quit his job as an officer a week after the death. Holman attempted to purchase $630.43 of photography equipment. Hairs from Holman and the victim's bed sheets had similar microscopic characteristics. This was before DNA, of course. Holman claimed that he had sex with the woman named Mary in a motel near the victim's house, and that he found a purse with credit card while walking back to his truck. He altered the name on the credit card from Patricia to Patrick. The woman could not be contacted to verify his alibi, and Holman refused to draw a diagram of the motel's interior. His alibi was not proven, and the motel manager did not remember someone named Mary staying there at that time. Holman was later incarcerated in Missouri and Nebraska and died in 2015. The hair in the victim's bed sheets, which was from a black man, was alleged to be Vernon Burris, the only black officer that came to the crime scene, but the FBI reported it did not match Burris's hair. So, Michael Holman, it definitely looks to have been the person who did this. But it would seem that they were too busy trying to convict this mentally ill woman. But hey, this is what happens. That's the sad part about all this. This is what happens when you allow such things to happen. But let's take a look at what the Attorney General's been doing. So, the Missouri Attorney General is Andrew Bailey. He's been fighting this. During a court hearing Friday, Judge Ryan Horstman said that if Hemme wasn't released within hours, Bailey would have to appear in court Tuesday morning. He threatened to hold the Attorney General's office in contempt. Bailey has been fighting getting her out. He said he would fight the release in courts. The judge also scolded Bailey's office for calling the warden and telling prison officials not to release Hemme after he ordered her to be freed in her own recognizance. "I would suggest you never do that," Horstman said, adding, "to call someone and tell them to disregard a court order is wrong. A court order is legal. And for some reason, they aren't being obeyed." A lone holdup to freedom came from the Attorney General, who filed court motions seeking to force her to serve additional years for decades-old prison assault cases. And the warden initially wouldn't let her go. Now, he's probably doing this because he's got an August 6th primary election coming up and wanting to look tough. But he's the 44th Attorney General of Missouri. Now, it makes me kind of sad because he's also a combat veteran, father of four, prosecutor, constitutional conservative, supposedly. He was an armored cavalry officer after 9/11. And he claims that he's willing to enforce the laws as written in defending the state, supporting the counties, and training new generation of service-minded attorneys. Yet he's fighting this woman who was wrongfully convicted. The assault cases is stemming from probably she's not getting the proper mental treatment that she needs. Also, a simple fact of that she wouldn't have the assault cases if she hadn't been in jail or in prison. What Bailey is doing, in my opinion, is wrong. And it needs to be stopped. And I don't understand it. You know this woman was convicted wrongly. You know she has mental illnesses that, if treated properly, she can spend the last few years of her life enjoying life. But no, you're fighting it. So, I don't see where justice is being served by this, and I don't understand why he wants to do this. It's idiotic at best. And we need to stop doing stuff like this. But hey, this is a modern American justice system. It's not right, it's not constitutional, and it's not fair to anybody. Unless it can get you elected, and then people find ways to make it fair to them for their political beliefs. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. If you find the way this woman's being treated is fair, you shouldn't listen to me at all. But this has been Paul, the Redneck Thinker. Y'all think about this and how such cases affect how you should look at our justice system. And y'all have a good day now. Bye.